always set aside by many of us, or mainly due to lack of knowledge of how to go about doing getting funds, how to use it judiciously, and all the stuff. And further, regarding publications, that's a different ball game altogether. So it takes up so much of our time, and in spite of that, when we we send it, it gets rejected, so we get dejected. So here we have two people to talk more and more about it, give us a pathway to lead us to a pathway where we can be more successful. So without much delay, I now call upon Dr. Sharvana Karthikeyan, the professor in Department of Conservative Dentistry and Endodontics, SRMDC College, to start the proceedings.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon. A very warm welcome to one and all. The topic of the first lecture today is financial prudence in research. It gives me an immense pleasure for me to introduce my teacher and my well-wisher, Dr. Vidya Saraswati, Associate Dean and Professor, Department of Conservative Dentistry and Endodontics, Manipal College of Dental Sciences, Manipal. See, indeed, it's really an honor to have you with us today, ma'am. So I kindly now request you to introduce the speaker of the day, Dr. Ruchika, Roongta, Naval, and moderate this session. Thank you, ma'am. Over to you.
Good morning to all. Thank you, Karthik. That was a nice gesture, and indeed, he is one of my favorite students as well. And truly glad to be in this part of this program, thanks to Maha ma'am and the team. And again, truly glad to introduce Dr. Ruchika, who was a PG in the same college as me, that is SDM Dharwad. Incidentally, the next speaker, Dr. Vasudev, is also an undergraduate student from SDM Dharwad. And Dr. Ruchika is a specialist in restorative dentistry and endodontics, and she is presently working as professor at the premier institute of our country, Maulana Azad Institute of Dental Sciences, New Delhi. She has contributed both as an academician and a clinician in the field of endodontics with astute meticulousness over the past 16 years. Her emphasis on both clinical and research aspects have led to her multiple scientific and clinical report publications in international and national peer-reviewed journals and book chapters on the subject with 1,000+ citations to her name. Incredible, Dr. Ruchika. And she believes that research questions should arise out of actual clinical needs and should be passionately pursued. This quest has led to her participation in multiple extramural research projects funded by various reputed organizations. She has been awarded fellowship of the Pierre-Fauchard Academy and member National Academy of Medical Sciences. Dr. Ruchika is the head and principal investigator for India's first dental technology innovation hub in New Delhi. She has lectured extensively on various topics as keynote speaker across various conferences and workshops, with her particular interest being in the field of technology innovation and product development. Very glad to present Dr. Ruchika to the audience.
Thank you so much, Vidya ma'am, for a very kind introduction. And as Sarvana said, it is special to be, for me to be, chaired, my session to be chaired by you. And we really are having a mini Dharwad get together only, I think, today in this session. I'll judge, ma'am. And my big thanks is really due to the organizers, especially Mahalakshmi ma'am, Rajkumar sir, and Shrujana, who was coordinating with us. And today I'm here, I was just telling before the session also, that I'm here not only because Mahalakshmi ma'am has called me, but also she is the inventor of this topic. I don't know how out of the blue she told me last year to speak on this topic where we spoke earlier. And it was a revelation for me, myself only. So thank you, Mahalakshmi ma'am, for pushing me to do this topic, because this is something that is really close to my heart. So today I'll be speaking on financial prudence in research. When I started preparing this topic, the first thing that I saw was the brochure. And the most intriguing part was the logo that goes with the brochure, which is the magnification lens and the light. And my favorite phrase that I say for research is, it is nothing but a blind date with knowledge. So with the magnifying glass, it's a blind date because we don't know which direction it will lead us to or what our results will be. It's not that we do something that is out of the blue or something that we dig out new, but it's just the same thing which we look from a different perspective and also take out different perspectives from the same research direction. So, of course, that is something that is not in our hands, the direction in which our research is going. But what is in our hands is what to speak today, and that is to make the right design or study design so that it is not only something that we want to do, but also something that we can do and we should do. That is, along with the desirability, only when we balance the feasibility and the viability is what is the right research design. And when it comes to endodontic research, traditionally, our focus has always been on publications. My dear colleague Vasudev will be speaking on that today. Now we see a lot of patents coming in. So the dental fraternity is thinking of making their own products, patenting them. And now the next step is to actually convert them into usable technology. We have a huge push even from the government as Make in India, which is also coming into dentistry now. So financial prudence, the word prudence is nothing but it is a reasonable and efficient use of the various financial resources that are available to us so that we can give out a good execution of our research plan. If we do not plan our research at the beginning of at the commencement, this is how we actually feel after 1 or 2 years into the research, where we feel loaded with the financial burdens or when we overstep our budgets. So the main cornerstones of a financial planning is basically first to know our exact cost. And as we all know, even in life, in the first rule of finances, that you will always overspend than what you project. So you will have some hidden cost, you will have some costs that you do not take into consideration. So accurately projecting your cost is the first keystone for a good financial planning for your dental research. Second, and the most important, I feel, is leveraging from what you already have. We have to see what is already available for us and adhere to the budget plan that we give. And then we can look for the other resources that we need in addition to what we have. And of course, financial budget also ensures that we are ethical in our financial planning. That is, if you have any conflicts of interest, it should be transparently declared. And we give out an ethical result of our research design. Now, first thing that my entire presentation will be divided into these 3 aspects. What are the main financial expenses that are involved in any dental research that we do? How can we reduce our research costs? There are various methods, which I call the ABCD of reducing our research cost, that we can do by taking very simple steps that we'll discuss in the second part of the presentation. And then what are the resources which are so easily, and I feel are the most underutilized resources that are available nationwide today for us as researchers and developers. Now, what are the major financial expenses that are involved in our dental research today? If I divide them, I could think of 3 main components, the first of which are the various materials and equipments. That is the consumable and the non-consumable component of our research, because we are a very technical field. We are very people-driven field. So most of our research is around testing the materials and different equipments that we are putting into use. Then the sample testing and the analysis of various types. So there are different types of in vitro analysis. We all know that we all shell out a lot of money from our own pocket sometimes, or that is a major deterrent for us to take forward. And that's how our sample size never matches the sample size that we should have. We try to keep it to the least number, because it is a testing which is very heavy on our budget. And if we are collaborating with institutes or labs outside our local area, then it is a travel cost that adds to it. Now, when I say materials and equipments, most of our research is around newer materials and which may or may not be available locally. Most of our materials we know are expensive, and since we have to use multiple sample sizes, to begin with, this is the first investment in our research that we do. Followed by various types of testing, as I said, that we need to do different types of in vitro testing for our appliances, for which for our research, for which we have to utilize different types of technical appliances. Now, most of these appliances today are available at a lot of labs and other infrastructural facilities that government and private-led bodies have set up, which I will be elaborating on in the future. But this component involves the second most expensive component of our research. And the cost that comes to us at the external labs varies according to whether you're an internal candidate, that is, you're working in the same institute, or if you're from the academics, or you're coming from the industry side. So the costing for these will vary according to your work pattern. And the third cost is the travel cost. If, as I said, if you are collaborating with outside labs or institutes, then it is a travel, because research is not something that we can just do in one go and come back. There are multiple visits that are involved. Then again, collaboration and coordination with these labs becomes difficult when they are not in our local area. And besides these, there are also other costs involved, like a personnel cost, if we want to hire some senior research fellow or a junior research fellow, or if we want to take some training related to our research, and data collection, management, and publication costs are the other costs. So before we can plan any kind of financial prudence, we need to know what are we dealing with, or we need to accurately estimate our budget. Then next cornerstone that we have, I think, learned from all of us have learned it from our is how to reduce our research expense. There is a very good saying that I read, that what makes you rich is not what you earn, but how you spend it. And even in research, we can apply this. If you correlate it with the different types of expenses, there are various methods by which first we can control the way we are spending our research grant or our research resources. So I call it the ABCD of financial prudence for research. A stands for our available resources. B is be local. C, and the most important aspect of reducing a cost, is to collaborate at different levels. And D is how we make our study design. Now, when I say available resources, there are different, wherever each one of us are positioned, we always have access to a lot of resources around us. And first thing that we should do when we plan our research design is to think locally and to see what all is available in and around us. For example, most of these would be infrastructure or laboratory facilities available in your institute from different specialities, or within your campus, what are the available resources. And then within your city, what are the available resources? There are government and different government bodies have started technical labs in different parts of India. It is actually covering nationwide. Most of the cities have some or the other representation of some or the other government lab. And the knowledge exchange with these labs will give you a lot of financial benefit as well as collaborative benefit. And if you check with your own institute, I'm sure most institutes already have a lot of MOUs and tie-ups with these technical institutes. For example, these are the facilities. As an endodontist, if I look around, these are the facilities that I have already existing within my institute. So as an endodontist, there are a lot of labs that I can access for my basic research, like most of very well-equipped radiology labs, PCR labs, and CD labs. They all can help in developing your resource. The second available resource, which most of us ignore all the time, is our existing research data of our own department. When our first year postgraduates join us, we were just discussing about the thesis protocol and thesis planning. First week, the only exercise that we give them is to go through the research that the department has already done. Because there is so much work that you already have done. But whenever somebody, even when we were PG, we always wanted to do something new, something different. But one very important aspect of research that I have realized now after so many years is continuity of research. We don't have to always think of a new topic or a new area to work in. What will actually give you a lot of weightage, which will actually make you get deeper into that and will also be financially viable, will be to continue a research which has already been conducted in your department. For example, you can do different types of in vitro testing for the same material group, or something which has already been done in the lab, you can apply it to your in vivo. Or you can also, for a clinical research, you can do a follow-up, a greater year follow-up for your clinical trials. All of this not only will more substantially contribute to our research literature, it will also increase your knowledge and it will be much more financially viable. For example, I give you a personal example of our own research work in our department. We've been working in the field of regenerative for almost 10 years. But 10 years back, we started with the in vitro testing of calcium silicate cements. After we tested all of that, we went to the lab and we tested what is the regenerative potential of MTA. We did a stem cell research. Once we had all that kind of data, we started applying it to clinical trials and we started pulp capping, pulpotomy, and revascularization studies. Simultaneously, we were also doing our own case reports. So not only was it easier on our pocket, it was also something that led us in-depth knowledge. So this available resource is something that I feel most of us, if we are not already doing it, we should contribute to it. The B of doing our financial prudence planning is be local. As I said earlier, that when you are collaborating outside your local area, not only are you adding cost of travel, but also it will impact your research execution, as the collaboration or the coordination is always difficult. A complete outsourcing will again increase the cost for you. If you're doing it local, you can always do some part at your own institute, and just for some testing part, you take it to the lab. But if you're sending it outside, most of the times you have to outsource it completely, which again adds to your cost. And in the long term, it is always difficult to follow up. The follow-up work of most of the times when we have collaborated with a lab outside, we have not been able to take it further, or we have not been able to add another dimension to it. So with the available resources, now I think we all should first look local. And the C, A, B, C of that is collaboration. Of course, not only in research, in any aspect of life today, collaboration is the key. It is how well that we collaborate, which ensures our success, because we are going towards a phase of specialization. We don't have as many GPs today. We will have a specialist medical practitioner, or we'll have a specialist dental practitioner. Similarly, even in research, people are good at their own work. So instead of us gathering all the resource in one place, we should make very strong collaborations. And these collaborations can start at a very local level. That is, as I showed earlier, it can start within your institute. As an endodontist, I can collaborate with my oral pathology, who will give me knowledge of molecular immunohistology and immunohistochemistry studies. They have those kind of infrastructural facilities also, which will reduce my cost. If I plan to do a radiology study, I can always collaborate with my OMR department. We have a wide range of materials that we work on in collaboration with prosthodontics. They do CAD/CAM and material testing. We can do true collaborative research with them. And similarly, we can utilize our basic sciences department like microbiology, biochemistry, and pathology. Other than these, if we go out from our institute to our campus, we can utilize these stem cell culture labs which are present locally, or immunology labs, or material sciences if you have a technical institute within your campus. The other type of collaboration which is still considered a bit of a taboo, or we are, as researchers, we are scared to collaborate with, is the industry-academia collaboration. But now there are a lot of opportunities that the industry is giving. And as collaborators and researchers, it is important that we collaborate with them tomorrow if we want to actually take out useful technology, which is useful in the commercial field. And even whatever materials we need can be greatly supported by these manufacturers. However, the big red flag when you're doing this, for which I think most of us stay away from, is it is a research ethics. So there is absolutely, it is ethical to take support from industry partners as far as you clearly, transparently declare any conflict of interest or declare any financial grants that you have taken from any industry. And at the same time, the main thing is that when you are taking an industry support, you cannot let them bias your design of your study or the results. As far as you are ensuring that these two things are taken care of, you're being transparent and you're being unbiased. There is absolutely, it is a very big pool to harness from, that is the industry support, is something that we all can harness for our resources. The D, or the final part of how we can reduce our cost, is how we plan our study design. Now, there are different aspects. Endodontics in research has opened up to different types of studies. As we know, an in vivo study design, if somebody is genuinely short on their resources, one resource that we are very fortunate that is always with us is our own patients. So if you cannot spend as much on materials or you cannot spend on the testing, you can always plan a clinical research in which it is more of an expertise-oriented research rather than a material or an equipment-oriented research. So you can plan an in vivo study design, or you can also, now COVID and the boost in technology has led us to in silico study designs. So you can design studies like in finite element analysis. Now we also have a dynamic finite element analysis, which will help you in giving a clinical data, or you combination of both, where one part of your study you can design in your in silico and then you test it out in vitro or in patients. And of course, as I said, a continuity of research is something that you can do. Now, this was how we can reduce our cost. Once we do that, we know what are the costs involved and we are prudent about our cost. Next, most important is resource, or show me the money, as they say. So what are the different kinds of sources of financial resources that are available to us today, which us as academicians and researchers can gain access to? And the most important resources that are available today, or instruments of financial help, are of various types. And the most important of these are leverage of infrastructural facilities and various grants and scholarships that are available, that are made available by government today. Make in India, as we all know, is a major push, and we can see the changes of this push even on ground level today. Sitting as an academician or as a researcher in an institute, also now we can see subtle changes where these government bodies or grants are moving you towards, they are basically directing their work into three directions. One, they are centralizing all the facilities. And second, they are digitizing it. So just sitting on my computer, earlier we would call our senior and senior's friend and friend's friend to see what is available at which institute, which lab. Today, you only need to sit on your computer. Most of these facilities are available on a central platform. They're also digitally listed and they're available for you to access. And third, they are pushing till now. We started, as ma'am mentioned in the introduction, 1.5 years back, we started work on our research and technology innovation hub at Maulana Azad. And as a part of that, I had to call a lot of people from technical side, that is engineering institute, dentists, and even industry experts. And at that point, I realized that we as dentists are the least oriented when it comes to product development, or our research would end, or the final destination of our research that we looked forward to was our publication. And maybe a few people are also doing patents. It was It is now in the last 1 year, 6 months that a lot of us are realizing the potential of developing innovative and indigenous technology. So this is another direction in which government is giving you a lot of push. In terms of infrastructure facilities, there are a lot of technical institutes and labs which are funded by government where they install the equipment, but they are open to any academician or any researcher who wants to utilize them. Most of them have their sites. You have to log into their site. I will show you a few examples and types of labs that are doing this pan-India for us. You can just log into the site, you can see what kind of material equipment you want to use, and you can book it online. Even the payment is online after you avail their services. Other than this, government has also started with schemes which support infrastructure development at your own institute. One very good scheme such, like this is the FIST scheme that we also availed at Maulana Azad last year. This scheme basically sponsors you for putting up equipment in your institute. They do not give you support for anything but the equipment. So with the support of this scheme, we got a few equipments, which otherwise as a government institute, we cannot afford. So these are schemes that we can know. And of course, the biggest push that is coming from the government today is making medical technology innovation hubs. Now, even from the government point of view or as a grantee point of view, grantee organizations, they were also facing of a lot of disjointed research and disjointed proposals that were coming to them. So they wanted to make common platforms or common innovation hubs where you can have expertise of that particular field, who can then further guide researchers who are trying to get grants or support for various purposes. So the Department of Science and Technology already has 3 medical hubs running at Anna University, Chennai, PGI, Chandigarh, and one MedTech hub, which is a collaboration with IIT Jodhpur. The purpose of these hubs is to give knowledge support and to give knowledge support and infrastructure.
Now I'll tell you there are 2-3 things. First, send the patient for the scaling.
Nimisha, hello. Nimisha, can you please mute yourself, please? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So Medical Technology Innovation Hub is a big impetus or push that now these grantee bodies are given. It is a give and take relationship, and it is something that benefits both the bodies. From the grantee body point of view, they have sitting out of these hubs which can act as a coordination center for various types of research that are happening in that particular field. Otherwise, as in their expert panel, they can, in fact, as a dental applicant, I'm sure a lot of us have faced this problem where we apply for grants, we don't hear from them, or we do not get any result out of this. And the reason was that in most of these panels, we are very poorly represented because they always put dental technology under medical technology, and 99% of the panel is represented by medical. In fact, we all know that even within dental, as an endodontist, it will be difficult for me to understand some research that an oral pathologist is doing. So there was a huge need to have an expert-led research body which can help in facilitation of research. So these medical technology innovation hubs have greatly helped in it. They have been there for almost 3 to 5 years. And these hubs focus on just medical technology. I'm very happy and proud to share that the first dental technology innovation hub of this kind is now coming up in Maulana Azad in February onwards. In fact, they have given one more medical technology hub, which will start at Manipal Institute, which will be again medical technology. As far as dental technology is concerned, this is the first one to start. And already as a part of this hub, we have established collaboration with 30 to 40 institutes. And these are not dental institutes, they are also engineering institutes. Most of them are technical institutes, which we can reach out to for their expertise, not only in terms of infrastructure, but also in terms of knowledge. And the main objectives of starting an innovation hub like this would be to not only be the resource center for any clinician who's applying or an academician who's applying to Department of Science and Technology for support. We'll help them in our knowledge sharing. We can be an active facilitator for their IPR and regulatory clearances, because that is one blind spot for most of us. And it will also be a training center for product introduction or a translation. We can help in coordinating centralized testing, calibration facilities, and of course, the training and capacity building components. So there's a huge mandate of this hub, and I hope that it can lead to many more hubs like all over India. As far as the existing facility and infrastructure labs are concerned, there are three main bodies. CSIR has almost 39 labs all over India. They're distributed as per their expertise. So different labs have different core areas of expertise. If you look up online, you'll be also able to see which is in your area, in your local area, and you can always leverage those for any research that you're doing. Another good institute to collaborate with is a Sri Chitra, which is supported by DST. There are all these facilities that are listed down under are there available at Sri Chitra. Very transparently, they can be used. You have to go online, you have to book it, and then you can visit them, or you can mail them your samples and they'll do it and give it to you. And similarly, ICMR has different expertise labs all over India. This is a network that is there for the CSIR labs. They have different thrust areas for different labs. And depending on the expertise of that lab, you can coordinate with them for different aspects of your research. When I was doing research for this and for the Innovation Hub, one of the most interesting and useful platform that I came across was the iSTEM. This is a very flagship project of the government, this was initiated from the principal scientific advisor to the PM himself. And it was inaugurated by PM in 2020. Indian Institute of Science from Bangalore has been behind this platform. And if you would just log into iSTEM, this is the kind of interface that you can see in the bottom of my slide. They have these different mandates. And every time that you will log in, they are expanding their mandate. The main thing that they started with was R&D infrastructure map. As I was telling you earlier, there is a huge work in the direction of centralization of facility. Now today, various granting bodies are giving different kinds of grants, not only infrastructure, but also as a part of our extramural grant, we buy a lot of equipment. If you see the owner of those equipment, even if it is installed in your institute, the owner will always remain the grantee body. So what they are doing is that you have to register on the site as an institute. You cannot register as an individual, but you have a domain name of an institute. You register and you upload the facility that is available at your institute. And this they have done across thousands of institutes across India. So today, if I am looking, say, for a spectrophotometer, I can just put it in this research box here. And it will show me where are the different, like 687 equipments were found from 200 institutes across India. It will tell me which are the institutes which have a spectrophotometer. I can log in. I can check what is the availability or what is the slot that is available. I can fill in my technical details. I can take the time and date of slot, visit them, do my study, and then pay them online after that. Now, very recently, when I went to their site, there are two more initiatives that they have started. One is the Atmanirbhar and other is Kaushal Bharat. Both of them, again, are very interesting. Atmanirbhar is, again, it is an initiative to promote product development and startups. So they have, again, made an expert panel and they can give a seed grant. You can go. They also do capacity building and training. And not only professors, as Mahalakshmi ma'am was saying, that I wish we had more young faculty, because these are things, there's so many unleveraged grants and resources that are available specifically targeted towards our young budding endodontists and faculty and dentists across. You can just take an idea which can be developed into a product. They will help you in increasing the TRL or the technology readiness level of those products. They can handhold you by connecting you to the right experts. And they will also help you later to link you with the technical and the industry experts. Similarly, is a Kaushal Bharat scheme in which they are doing skill development. And very recently, they started a centralized platform in which any condemned equipments will be sent there. And as an innovator, I can go and I can open up that in a condemned equipment and I can tinker with it and see how it has to be arranged or how it has to be made, which I felt was very interesting or something that we all would love to do. Other than these also, there are different types of research funding. Of course, I cannot cover all of them in this lecture, but all that I wanted to tell you was what are the different types of grants that are available today. One, of course, the first, as I said, be local, the first that you can leverage is your intramural research grants. Most of our institutes have some amount, whether 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 of intramural grant that we give specially to our young researchers or young faculty. So we can always start with these. Even a 20,000 grant sometimes can be a great impetus to start our research. And other than that, there are extramural grants, various types of extramural grants that are available, and scholarship funding. So I'll just tell you a bit about what are the different types of extramural grants that are available. Each of them have a different mandate or they have a different area that they are targeting on. Of course, just to support an extramural research objective is one of them. The other type of grant, as I mentioned briefly earlier, was the infrastructural development grants, where they give grant to set up some kind of research infrastructure. Then you also have capacity building grants in which you can go and learn, or you can do a fellowship or training in your local or in international labs. So these are capacity building grants for research development. And foreign travel grants, a lot of us academicians apply to for going and attending a conference and presenting our research there. Other than these, there are different rewards and fellowships that are available. Now, when I say extramural research grants, national level, most of these grants are given to in-service faculty members. There are various bodies. They keep opening their grants from time to time. You have to be in touch with their site to see which are the grants that are open at that time. And they will always give you the thrust area that grant is focused on. So you always ensure that the project that you're submitting is in line with the key thrust area of that particular grant. The main bodies that you can focus on are the Department of Science and Technology, CSIR, DBT, Department of Biotechnology, ICMR has a lot of grants, UGC, and there are also certain private bodies like Tata Innovation, which give very good grants for researchers. This is a UGC grant, one example of a UGC grant. Again, this grant is for newly recruited faculty members called the Dr. D.S. Kothari grant. But at the same time, UGC also takes out grants for in-service faculty and superannuated. So the other kind of classification that we have seen in grants is depending on the experience level of researcher and also gender-based. Now we have a lot of opportunity for women, which I'll discuss in our next slides. As far as the international grants are concerned, if we go onto their sites, there are a lot of these grants also that are available to international or outside country representatives like us. For example, IADR has a lot of grants, and most of these again are focused on either students or they are focused on young faculty. So we've already started doing it with our students, and I really urge all faculty members to not only look for their own grants, but also push the junior faculty and even the postgraduates to look for grants in their field. In fact, those are the grants which are most underutilized. And by saying so, they will also be the ones which will be more easily accessed because there are lesser number of people who are applying to those, or lesser number of people who are actually fighting for those grants. So we should encourage our students and faculty, younger ones, who to apply for various grants which are targeted specifically for the young researcher category. Other than these, the USAID and IACDE, there are good grants from US and Europe, which give you a grant for about 2 to 3 years, and they have an upper limit support that they do. Infrastructure grants, I already spoke about FIST, that is from DST, which is a 5-year scheme. And in this also, you are categorized into different levels, like level 0, 1, 2, 3. So it actually, the support can go on from up to 2 CR, which is level 0, to 200 CR, which is level 3 and level 4. So you can spend that much and you can set up a lab. And then, of course, that lab will be open to access by others in the nation. Similarly, DBT has a grant called as SEHEJ, which is also for infrastructure development. And the other mandate is also capacity building and trainings at these. Now, when I say capacity building, there are different directions in which you have capacity building grant. One most commonly utilized is the ICMR International Fellowship, in which they give fellowship grants to Indian scientists to go abroad and train themselves in a good research lab for a period of 6 months to 1 year. The requirement for availing these grants is to have a good tie-up and a letter of intention from a lab outside where you intend to go. So they open from time to time and you can access these. Another very good scheme for capacity building is the Inspire scheme. As I said, Make in India is a genuine push area for the government. Now, Inspire scheme is something that really starts early, like SEEDS, SHE, and AORC. That SEEDS is nothing but scheme for early attraction for talent and research, talent and development. So this starts actually at the undergraduate level, under which they give Inspire Awards and Inspire Internship. They give about 5,000 rupees, but that in itself for a school student is enough for him to think towards innovation or product development. The next is the SHE program, which is Scholarship for Higher Education. This is given to undergraduate. This is given to school students for pursuing their undergraduate degree. People from lower economic background or people who want to specifically work in science and technology innovation can benefit greatly from these schemes. And third is the assured opportunity for research career, which is again for our young researchers and young faculty. Now they can give an Inspire Fellowship and or an Inspire Faculty program. So this is a good scheme, Inspire scheme, that can be leveraged by different, and you can always start early. And their preference is to have a horizontal conversion. That is, somebody who takes up SEEDS can convert into SHE and later into AORC, so that there is a completion or continuity. The other good one that is started by DBT is India Alliance. It's a highly competitive grant, but it starts again for 3 levels, that is young scientist, mid-career, and advanced career. And the support also greatly varies from 5 CR to up to 200 CR again. And this is a multi-dimensional grant. That is, it will not only help you in setting up infrastructure, it will help you in going outside India and training yourself. It will help you in making collaborations with research labs, and you can even hire manpower through it. But as, of course, because it's so multidimensional and it covers so many aspects, that it is a highly competitive grant. But you can both young and middle career and even senior faculty. There are 3 different types for which they can be applied. Now, we women are actually genuinely very privileged in terms of applying for grants. Almost every scheme, including the iSTEM portal that I showed you, they have a specific grant for women in science. And especially DBT and DBT, they have the BioCare scheme and the Women Scientist scheme that are given only when the principal investigator is a women scientist. And another very interesting scheme that the government has come out with is that a lot of us women, we sometimes leave our career because of family commitments. So there is another scheme for such women also, in which they give the grant to women scientists who are not working actively in an institute to restart their career, so there's a lot of thought and there is a lot of planning that has gone behind launching each of these schemes. But the failure point that I feel that I have personally seen is, one, of course, people don't know. Second, people think that we will not get it, so we should not try for it. And third is access. Sometimes we don't even have access to basic resources to apply for these. The other type of grant is, of course, a lot of private bodies genuinely are supporting innovation. One such body is the Tata Innovation Fellowship. They again give for across different areas and different mandates. Now, most of us are guiding our research students, and we are doing thesis. Not only is planning their thesis difficult, but many times we get students who are not very well-to-do, or they're not from good backgrounds. And that indirectly or knowingly or unknowingly impacts our research design. So for such students, you can always push them to apply for the ICMR thesis grant. We have been applying for it every year, and every year at least one student gets it. They get about 50,000 rupees, out of which 20,000 they get immediately, 30,000 they get immediately, and 20,000 they get when they publish that research. But that money itself is a huge support for them. And this is very easily, transparently, you can apply through going on the site where they list, and there is a form that you fill and you can apply for it. Similarly, ICMR also has a fellowship program for this. And for innovations, there is a very good scheme called a SETAR, where they are calling upon students to come up with, again, an innovative idea which has commercializable potential, so which can be converted into a commercial product. They give 15 such grants to every year, and every startup gets about 15 lakhs. So as a postgraduate also, if I have an idea in place, I can take it to them. And if there is potential, they can convert it into this. But the main thing when it comes to research grant, this is the apt saying for it, which I always say, that money grows in the tree of persistence. In grants, it is not as easy as when we are listing it out, because like publication, you cannot give up when you're applying for grant. You don't have to get very disheartened when it gets rejected. You have to be persistent. You have to apply and you have to reapply. Of course, apply prudently, in the sense, choose the right scheme for you, choose the right thrust area for you. But then after that, be persistent, which is only then that you actually get these grants. And the other decisive factor is that you have to know how to write a research grant, or what are the different aspects. But now all over India, there are different kinds of programs. A lot of people, like, this is just one orientation talk that I'm giving today, but there are more technical talks also. Like, for example, I came across this in the morning itself. Next month, we have ISDR conference in Delhi, where there is an entire pre-conference workshop on how to write research grants. So we should keep a lookout for these kinds of training programs. And this cartoon very clearly and very aptly describes the situation. When we are a researcher, we feel the boat is very far from us, and I don't know whether we'll reach it or not. And that boat from the far, which is actually the resource or the grantee bodies, are feeling exactly the same. So it's not only that we need grants, they are also looking for the right kind of projects and right kind of people to tie up with. So we both are actually equally desirable both of us are equally willing to get into the same boat. And by just following basic steps, I want all of you to take home a point. And these aids are just access available resources. To sum up the main points that I've tried to put across in the last 1 year, you have to access the available resources first. You have to make good alliances, keep applying for grants, stay aware of what is happening around you in your field of interest, and stay active. It is only with good financial prudence, that is good planning, and also P for proactive. You have to be proactive in what you're doing, is when you, from there to here, the journey from here to here comes to with financial prudence. So have faith and be smart when you're doing your research. I deeply acknowledge, there are a lot of people to acknowledge here. One, of course, is our institute. I have worked here only for, this was my last and till now, first, and I'm still here. So this institute has shaped every aspect of my life after my alma mater. My department, this includes our students, young faculty, staff who have been with us for 30, 35 years. That is the logo for the Dental Tech Hub that is coming up. And of course, I would reiterate my acknowledgement to Mahalakshmi ma'am, Rajkumar sir, and the entire organizing team for getting me here, and Dr. Angad Mahajan, who helped me in doing research for this. Thank you so much. Any queries, you can mail me or you can WhatsApp me. Thank you, ma'am.
Vidya, you have to unmute.
Yeah, a very well covered topic and very well presented, Dr. Ruchika. Starting from the ABCD, and I like that be local part actually, and yeah, and how to budget it, and it so much in detail about the various grant opportunities, the DST, DBT, and Inspire, and some new things were also there. So and across various age groups and genders. So it covered everything. So it was real an ABC of financial prudence. And let us take up any questions if posted in the chat box. And I can see one question. Ma'am, any advice to self-finance finance researchers? Any tips from your experience?
Yes, sir, absolutely. Because in spite of the grants, 80% of us are self-financed because it's not that easy to get it also. So my first part of my presentation was how we can cut our costs. So that ABCD that ma'am is saying is actually something that we can do for our own finance research. How we can, avail for that. We don't have to pay. We don't have to take a grant. We can tie up with the labs in our area. We can be local. You can change your study design as per your availability of resources and continuity of research. From personal experience, that is something that I feel is especially in India, we don't do. If you look at foreign speakers and foreign researchers, they would be only researching on one topic for 40 years. And we, in 1 year, we will research on 40 topics, So there is a time, I think this is a time when we need to maintain a balance. Of course, we all are guiding so many students. So we have to, multitask, and we have to look at different directions. But there should always be some core directions of a department, I feel, that should be carried forward. And that actually reduces your cost of your study design also.
Thank you, Sajiv sir, for that question, and thank you, Ruchika, for answering that question. And
Madam,
Yes, sir.
madam, is there any banking services available, like you get car loans? Can't we write to the government to give us research loans, which are highly subsidized? This is just an idea in my head.
No, you're right. Absolutely. So right now, of course, there are only grants, but there is. So what you are saying is actually something very pertinent, which we discussed also with one of the bodies, because there is only as many grants that can be given out. But there is another thing which is called a central feed, in which you can put up your idea on a central platform, and then you can open it up to private and government players who want to support that idea. So maybe not now, but 6 months down the lane, we may have that kind of a platform where you can just put up your idea, or, if you want to work in some particular direction or product, you can just put it up, and somebody else who's interested in that, which can be from industry or a private player or a government, can give you some kind of support. So that is something. Yes, of course, we cannot apply for a research loan as of now, but I don't know, maybe in the future.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you very much, Ruchika. Yes, indeed, it's such a difficult task getting grant funders. And we need to, as you said, aptly said, that we need persistence is what pays off. And though there are so many grants, there are that many only available, and sometimes it's very difficult to get one. And you have also told how to be, like as ma'am said, ABCD of how to, cut our own costs. And so sweetly you said, no, we learn it from our moms. So it's so true. Budgeting, we actually learn from, at home. Thank you so much for that wonderful lecture, Ruchika, and for so beautifully moderating it, Vidya.
thank you,
Thank you so much to both of you. I know so busy you are, and you have taken time for us. It's really a blessing for us.